The Art of Being Ruled. Wyndham Lewis. Original publication 1926. 1989 edition. Narrated by Skeptical Waves. Part 11. Proudhon and Rousseau. Chapter 9. Proudhon's Tabulation of the Social Contract. Some of the aphorisms by which Rousseau taught his liberticide theory are then capitulated by Proudhon. His list is as follows. That popular direct government results essentially from the alienation of his liberty that each man makes in favor of all. That the separation of authority is the first condition of a free government, i.e. separation of legislative and executive powers, for instance, note of editor. That in a well-constituted republic no association or private assembly of citizens could be tolerated, since that would be a state within the state. That the sovereign is one thing, the prince another. That the first does not exclude the second, so that the most direct of governments may very well be an hereditary monarchy. That the sovereign, that is to say, the people, fictitious being, ethical personage, pure intellectual concept, has for natural and visible representative the prince, who is all the better the more he is truly a ruler. That government is not one with society, but is exterior to it. After all these considerations, which follow each other in Rousseau like geometric theorems. That no true democracy ever has existed, or ever will exist, seeing that in a democracy it is the majority who vote the law and exercise the power, while it is in fact contrary to nature that the majority should govern the minority. That direct government is especially impracticable in a country like France, because before anything else you would have to equalize private fortunes, and equality of fortune is impossible. That, for the rest, and just because of the impossibility of establishing equality of fortune, a direct government is of all the most unstable, the most dangerous, the most productive of catastrophe and civil wars. That the democracies of antiquity, in spite of their smallness and the powerful support of the slave system, were unable to maintain themselves, and it would be in vain for us to attempt to establish that form of government. That it is made for gods, not for men. After having gone on in this way for a long time at the expense of his readers, after having formulated, under the deceptive title of social contract, this code of capitalist and mercantile tyranny, the Genevan charlatan concludes to the effect that a proletariat is unavoidable, concludes in favor of the subalternization of the worker, of dictatorship, and of inquisition. And Proudhon then begins his grand attack on Rousseau as a man. Never has man combined to such a degree intellectual pride, aridity of soul, baseness of instincts, depravity of life, ingratitude, never has passionate eloquence, sentimental ostentation, paradoxical effrontery, produced such an overwhelming effect on the public. That is Proudhon's indictment, and it is an honest and simple one, much more genuine than Marx's of him. But I believe it is the inevitable shock of two natures who could never have understood each other, and is, without Proudhon at all knowing it, very unjust to Rousseau. I have already indicated the nature of my objections to this attack, and it remains for me briefly to assemble them.